Good day. In the series of the online awareness sessions, today's course will be on the SWOT analysis, OAS 104. Together, in the former courses in the 101, we saw what is an organization. The second course, we saw what is management. The third course, it was an example of the 954 guide that we are proposing for managing an organization. And today, together, we are going to see the SWOT, the famous SWOT analysis. In the SWOT analysis, I'm going to give definitions, and then we're going to see the quadrant of the SWOT analysis, and later we will see why, when we should do it, etc. So let us begin by the SWOT analysis. What is a SWOT analysis? It is an excellent compilation and evaluation tool. It's the outcome of organizational awareness, how much I know the organization from inside, and what elements I'm considering from outside. And indeed, it supports the formulation of the strategy in the organization. Let us go now for the SWOT definitions. The SWOT, it's a generic word now. Those are the initials of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The strength and the weaknesses are internal to the organizations, and the opportunities and threats, those are elements that might influence, and we have to take into consideration them when we are taking strategic and operational decisions. In the quadrant of the SWOT analysis, we have to list here all the strengths, we have to list here all the weaknesses, and indeed take into consideration the opportunities and the threats. Let me give you the guide that we saw formerly for having an SWOT analysis. For years, we were doing the SWOT analysis according to generic elements. Today, we have a guide, and we have the organization as a system here, composed by 9 subsystems, including the strategy, the processes, the talents, the structure, the marketing, sales, customers, IT, and resources. So the S and W, the strength and the weakness, should be considered in those 9 elements. For example, what are the strength and the weaknesses in my strategic moves? What are the processes that are strength in the organization where I am managing? And what are the weaknesses in the processes? In the HR, what do I have as a strength and what do I have as a weakness? The same thing in the organization or the marketing or the sales or the customers or the IT and or the resources. So, if I'm going to do a SWOT analysis, the S and W, we have a guide here. You can take the 9th element and begin analyzing the 9th element wherever you have strengths and wherever you have weaknesses. Now, let us go to the opportunities and the threats. Opportunities and threats, usually they come from the micro environment and the macro environment. What are the opportunities presented by the competitors, if they have some weaknesses? Or what are the threats presented by the competitors or the suppliers or the customers? So, or the substitute indeed, and or the partners. In the logic of Porter, we have to keep away from those forces and develop strategies that can that can be winning strategies. And indeed, in the opportunities and threats, we have the past from the political environment, the economic environment, the socio-cultural environment, and the technological environment. If we go now to our quadrant, and we see together that whenever we list them here in the quadrant, we list the strength, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. And the next step will be the formulation of the strategy. In the next course, actually, we're going to see the formulation of the strategic objectives and the operational objectives. So now we have the answer of what should cover the strengths and the weaknesses, the 9 elements. What should cover the opportunities and the threats, the 5 micro-environmental elements, and the 4 macro-environmental elements. There is another question, when it should be done. Usually in big companies, it is done once a year. In small companies, it can be done regularly, every quarter, every 6 months. And I insist that during crisis situations, we have to do it regularly. Who should participate in the SWOT analysis? In the SWOT analysis, usually top management, but also middle managers and some line managers should participate. I have an example of a bank. A few years ago, indeed, we considered the top management and then the middle managers, but also we attracted almost 40 branch managers on a scale of 1 month. We have gone through this exercise. And at the end, again, the outcome should be positioning ourselves in the market and formulate the upcoming strategic objectives and operational objectives. Thank you for today.